Oh yeah, there you go. For those of you who have been following along, as far as the termites go, we really don't have any updates on those yet. I know it's been about 2 weeks probably since we've talked about that, and you know, we've just decided that we just need to get our work done. So we've changed gears and we've refocused, and we're just throwing all of our effort into just trying to get everything done, get back in the water. We know that we need to get the boat treated, so we're planning for that. And there's really no preventative way to keep termites from coming here, so there's not a big reason for us to do it now. But I mean, they're still here. You know, we've shown videos of like this one where they're just flying around through the sky at sunset, and you know, by the thousand. And I tried one night just turning on a work light because they come towards light, you can see here, and I just tried, you know, basically spraying insecticide as they flew in. But you know, you're just way outgunned, so it's just you know, we changed gears, like I said, and we've refocused. So just check out all the stuff that we're doing right now and see how far we've come just in a few days. Just look at that. She's got a little section here too also, but man. And you can also see we have 60 years of repairs all down the boat. It's impressive. It's quite a sight. So we're making progress and finally starting to see the fruit of our labor, which is definitely a big pick-me-up. You've been busy, huh? Got a lot of work done? Yep. So for everyone that has been following, how long has it taken you to, in the last couple days, basically sand 3/4 of the boat?
Yeah, I've done it in the past couple days. I've been doing about half per day. So I did half the white in one day and the other half, and now I'm just doing half the red today and finish it tomorrow.
So you'd say maybe 6 or 7 days?
And it'll be, yeah.
And you've done most of the boat?
Yeah.
You guys don't understand how big of a moment this is. This just might be the last hole we cut in the boat. Basically the last hole I'm cutting in the boat, so I'm really excited. This is a big moment, and you can see why we're cutting it out. It's a really big through hole. And of course, the last owner, our fearless leader here, this is how he decided he would seal it off. So we're glad to get rid of it. And you have no idea how excited that makes me feel. So I've sealed almost all the holes I've cut already. I've got a few more left, but I think this is it. This is the last one. Okay, I lied. So this is our last hole. I totally forgot about it. It was one of the areas where the hole was actually pulling away from the ribs. It was separated and a little bowed right here for about, there we go, for about, I don't know, 4 feet. So cut it out, gonna replace it, and that should be it. Just another shot at that. So you can see in comparison to some of the other holes I have, it's still pretty big, but I feel like it's a lot more manageable. So I'll finally be able to get the wood pushed up against the ribs, sealed that off, and just have a stronger side there overall. All right, take a good look, guys. This is bottom of the barrel for us. From here, it should only be up. It's taco night on the boat again. Are we seasoning the meat outside, baby?
No, because there's too many termites.
And yes, this is correct. Fight me. So I guess the only meals we've shown you guys so far are buffalo rice and tacos. I swear we eat better things.
Every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
We really do eat other things.
We're rationing. Can you imagine this, babe? Sitting, looking out these windows, floating in the water at sunset, no termites, just enjoying a normal evening.
I can imagine it.
Just feels so far away, doesn't it?
Yeah. More and more so.
In case you are wondering if there's a no-see-em problem in West Palm Beach, this is maybe 2 nights worth of bites. So get yourself some deet. We dropped the top part of our door off the other day and broke it. And because we despise this setup so much, the effort we put in to fix it was just a little bit of duct tape to cover the hole with the piece back on. And you can see how we close it from the inside. We use a fly swatter so that we can bend the like a coat hanger through the locking mechanism, which usually only locks from the outside. Without doing that, the doors just swing open all the time and annoy us. So we can't wait to get rid of it, but that was also just an inconvenience. So last week I talked a little bit about the flour and epoxy mixture that we've been using as kind of peanut butter, and I'm actually really impressed with it. So here's just a quick look at that block of wood I submerged for a few days. Here's that block again from last week. So I have put more, or I left it in the water for probably about 4 or 5 days now. And, well, I pulled this piece off just because it was soaked through. So you can see that the wood is still adhered to the epoxy really well. Same on this side. It actually hasn't delaminated or come off at all yet. And it's not softened up or anything like that, so I can't scratch it. So I feel like this is a very good mixture. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to use the wheat, or the flour, sorry. Go ahead and use the flour. It seems to work really well. I'm impressed by everything I've seen so far with it, and I think it's good. So that's what we're gonna run with. Okay, so we've been slacking a little bit, and we haven't generated as much content as we wanted to these last couple weeks, and really you guys haven't been missing too much. All we've been doing is grinding paint, patching holes, same thing we've been covering, so we didn't feel as bad, but there's a lot of things we need to go back and come forward with as far as our history and those kinds of things, and I promise it's coming. We've actually decided that next week's video is going to be our history and the historical side of this boat, this project, and we've got a lot of really cool things to show off in that video. So we're excited for it, and we hope you are too. You'll also notice we did some recent changes to the channel. We're no longer Marooned by 5. We are Sailing Black Pearl. That's basically because we finally decided on a name for the boat. We thought about restoring her, keeping the name Mahi Mahi, but she's also had a very rough life. So we wanted to rebrand her, give her a new identity, just totally come about it as it being a new boat. So we went that route, named her Black Pearl, for a lot of reasons, which we'll kind of cover next week. But we're just really excited for that. We did a lot of figuring these last few days, narrowing down what kind of materials we want to use, color schemes, format, like how we want to do the solar array, rigging, all those things. So we're going to cover a lot of that coming up here in the next couple episodes, and we're really excited for that too. Paints will definitely be something that's interesting, and a lot of people will have a lot of opinions about, so definitely tune in for that. I'll go through some of it here now beforehand, and we'll see once it arrives and we're ready to put it on how that goes. But yeah, so you haven't missed too much. You're actually right back on track with seeing the new parts of the project, and I'll show you our new logo. So this is our new logo, and you can see there's a lot of detail in it, a lot of symbolism that you probably don't even notice. And though we're Pirates fans and some of the inspiration came from that, it's actually symbolic of a lot of our experiences with this project so far. So we're excited to show that off, and like I said, we'll have some of the history next episode to fill in the backstory. But you know, it's a boat's capsized in its lifetime, and it's pretty cool. So I've done some really cool t-shirt designs and things for other areas in my life, so we look forward to creating some really cool designs for you guys, so you can get in on the action too. And really that kind of catches you up to speed. We're just gonna take a quick walk around the boat to show you where we're at, and we'll show you a few other decisions we've made before we close out. So we've got just a little bit of paint down here. Maybe it'll do in the next day or two. I've finished patching all my holes on this side. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one down here is probably one of the hardest ones, just the way it's curved down there. And then if we come to this side, you can see pretty much all the paint is off. And again, I had several holes. 1, 2, I think there's, yeah, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is actually 2 panels down here. 9 holes, but there's a 10th panel. The most recent side Amanda has sanded down. I only had 1 repair on this side. You can see though, there's all kinds of repairs that were done in the past. So it's kind of cool to see the history as you sand down the boat. Same on this side. Amanda got this last spot here. We've got, this is an old repair, but down here I've started to get my panels on. So I've covered one of our big holes. Finally covered this last big hole here. Got one of these covered, smaller one there. And now all I have left are these here, and then just a couple small drill holes. So I'm really excited to get those out of the way. Once they're done and the sanding's done, it's on to fairing. Just need a few more supplies to get that going. I've already begun kind of the fairing process. So as big as this repair is, I can go all the way across and it's just smooth. So I've already got a lot of these panels smooth with the side of the boat as I've been going along. Same here, smooth all the way down, and you can't even feel them. So I'm really excited about how well those turned out. We've got a lot of fiberglass work to do as we go back over some of them, more smoothing and fairing, and that's the next step to this project. One thing we haven't totally figured out yet is these rudders. We're thinking right now we're not going to do too much cruising, so what we're going to do is basically just drop them a little bit, sand them down, fiberglass over them, and we'll call it a day. We're just going to put them back up, and we'll leave them like that for now. But we'll paint them and do that kind of stuff too, but we're not going to put too much effort into replacing them right now. One of the next pains that we have to figure out is this cross beam. I've looked at a couple different strategies. A lot of people replace them with, they'll take an old mast and cut the mast down and basically use a mast as their crossbeam, which isn't a bad strategy, but it might be a little more pricey than we were looking at right now. I might be trying to do a plywood I-beam, basically. So I'll layer resin and plywood and possibly make my own beam. So that's the strategy I'm looking at right now. We'll see how that turns out, but I'm not quite looking forward to that project. As for this back crossbeam, we're thinking we might even take it out, because we're gonna extend the back deck all the way to the back of the boat. So we don't like the layout of that area. Basically this comes up and you sit on the other side like a booth. So we're gonna cut this down, extend the deck back, and it's gonna be one flat walking space for the whole length of the back here. So it's also gonna be covered by our solar array, and we just figured out how we want to structure it, so we're pretty excited for it. For our solar array, we have 6 280 watt, I think, 280 or 300 watt solar panels. They're not top of the line panels, so they're pretty big. They're 6 feet by 3 feet each, and we have 6 of them. So I think they have possibly, I think total was right around 1800 watts or 2000 watts of power, and we think that should be enough for us. There might be a few things we'll cut it close on, but like I said, we want to run an AC. We want to run a few other commodities, just because well, we're both working professionals, and we do need to go into work and look professional, be professional. So we're gonna have days where we dress up. I wear suits sometimes. Amanda's gonna be in professional work attire as well, and because of that in itself constitutes a lot of things that we might not have done if we weren't working. So between those, some of the refrigerators and internet and different things that we have running, we just need a little extra. This should get us pretty close. We do have a generator, a smaller Champion generator that I can plug into, and that gives us in the neighborhood of 35 to 4,000 watts if needed. So, but the goal is not to run that, so we can be independent of it. But the solar array we're going to build, we'll be able to fit all 6 of those panels up there. That's basically a 12 by 9 foot area, which is crazy big when you think about it on a boat. So it's a bit intimidating, but I think we figured out a really cool way to do it, and we'll show maybe some drawings of that in the next week or two. So it's starting to come together. So like I was saying, one of the other projects we worked on these last few days was our paint. We want to do a black boat. We like the idea of it. We have the AC to accommodate that, and it's just different, it's unique. We wanted to try it. So we have done a few things, did some research, some ideas on how to do this, and we started off by, we wanted to make our own paint with epoxy, possibly. Pigment the epoxy, it's really hard, it's durable, it's strong, and it's low maintenance. And found through some research it's way too UV sensitive, especially being black. So it would have faded, changed colors, cracked, chipped, done all kinds of horrible things that you won't want paint to do, and decided against that. So a little more research, and we decided we were going to try next urethane automotive paint. A lot of these automotive paint makers also manufacture marine versions, so chances are you're probably using a very similar product to an automotive product anyway, if you're using a marine version. So it's cheaper, it's more widely dispersed, and we're going to give that a shot. So we got to do a few things in order to get there. A lot of fairing, got to get it real smooth, and figure a few things out with that. But we bought the paint. We have black paint. We've got some lime green paint. It's gonna be an interesting paint job, and we're excited to show that process to you. And hopefully it turns out like we have the vision in our heads for it. The second part of that was we also did bottom paint. Same thing. I know a lot of the bottom paints are epoxy based with a lot of additives to prevent the organic growth. So we didn't want to add a lot of extra to the project at that point. We know we're coming right back out in maybe a year or two. So we just didn't want to go through the process of doing bottom paint and the extra cost. So what we're going to decide to do is we have a ton of epoxy. We're going to mix our own paint, and we're going to paint the bottom of the boat with epoxy. We're going to do black below waterline. Should look pretty cool. Done a lot of research on some other parts of that, but we feel that since we're going to be basically moored for most of this time anyway while we still finish up the boat, that would be ideal just to have a very solid hard paint job on the bottom. Growth is going to happen regardless of what kind of bottom paint we were to use, so we're just going to go ahead and plan for growth. It's a solid paint job, and we're going to pressure wash every couple weeks to a month. Since it's that rigid, that stiff of a coat, we're just going to pressure wash the growth right off. So we're excited to do that, show you guys how it turns out. But those are our plans so far for paint. We've got a lot of fairing to do, a lot of sanding to do still, and that's flour epoxy mix that I showed you. That's what we're going to use as fairing compounds. So we're going to mix our own fairing compound. It seems to work really well. I've done it in a few areas already, and I am very pleased with how it's come out. Super sandable, really easy to work with, and hopefully very quick. So we've got a lot of things coming. We're going to mix our own barrier coat. We've got barrier coat additive from West System, and yeah, the 422. So we're going to do some of that, and lots of clear coat. So we're really excited with how this is going to turn out. We are awaiting a lot of the material still, and we're just going to see how it goes.